it became apparent to me that all chronic disease is defined by a lack of voltage in the power supply to the organ that's involved, it began to change my way of thinking about things. I began to realize that as voltage drops, oxygen drops, and as oxygen drops, infections show up. And the infections, of course, put out toxins that damage things. Now, I was taught in medical school, and I think in many places it's still being taught, that we have the genes that we were born with, and that we're stuck with those. Whatever mom and dad gave us, that's the roll of the dice, and that's what you have. But that was proven not to be true as long ago as the 1950s. Dr. Tennant got a Nobel Prize for proving that genes change. And yet it's still ignored even some years later. I mean, here we are in 2020, and he got his Nobel Prize in early 1950s. So the issue is that what we believe are genetic diseases often are not. They are epigenetic changes that occur from such things as our environment or our perception of our environment, and such things as our diet. So for example, Waterland and his group showed that if you take these fat white mice called agouti mice and correct their methylation defects, that now all of the kids are small and brown, and so are the grandkids and the great-grandkids. So you can change the genetic expression by simply doing such things as changing your diet to address methylation defects. Well, if that's true, then the things that we look at that we think are genetic, we should take another look at. So for example, in my field of ophthalmology, I've taken a look at retinitis pigmentosa. Retinitis pigmentosa is a progressive scarring of the retina. Generally begins in childhood, and by mid-20s or 30s, people are blind. And they say, well, you just got a bad roll of the dice, and you got genes that made this happen. Well, I don't believe that's true. If you look at the pattern of retinitis pigmentosa, you'll see that the blood vessels are obliterated. Now, genetic defects, as a general rule, don't obliterate blood vessels. Well, but infections do. In fact, there are published reports by the Japanese that show you can have an acute form of this, where blood vessels in the retina become inflamed, and you go blind within a week or so. So we began to look at retinitis pigmentosa more as, if this isn't a genetic problem, it's an epigenetic change. What caused that in the first place? And as we began to do some testing, we found that so far, all of the patients that I've seen with RP, and this is not a large number, it's less than 10, but they all had chickenpox. Well, one of the things that the Japanese, as I mentioned, reported is that particular virus will have an acute form of what we see chronically in RP. So we are in the process of setting up a large study to see if I'm correct or incorrect about the fact that RP happened because somebody got that particular virus, and we're in a situation where the virus would cause the vasculitis, which then progressively killed the retina. So there's hope.